You know, there is this very specific moment that I think every dog owner experiences. You're just like looking across the living room one day and suddenly hits you. The puppy is just, it's gone.
Oh, absolutely. The entire physical dynamic completely changes. I mean, the bouncing puppy who used to literally launch off the hardwood floor just to greet you, now they just kind of stand there.
Yeah, exactly.
The nubby tail is still going a million miles an hour, obviously, but all four paws stay firmly planted on the ground, and they take a much slower lap around the yard and just, settle into a sunbeam.
Okay, let's unpack this
Mm.
because our documentary notes today actually present a deeply optimistic central theme
Mhm.
about this whole process. Welcome to the deep dive, by the way. Today we are diving into the nuanced, emotional, and honestly highly practical realities of a boxer entering its senior years.
It's such a profound transition.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the key takeaway here isn't just like some depressing list of medical ailments. It's a literal guide to maintaining a working breed's quality of life.
Yeah.
The core message from the sources is that a senior boxer might move more slowly, but it never stops wanting to participate in your family life.
Hmm.
Slower is not the same as done.
Right, and older is not the same as finished.
Exactly.
Navigating the stage well requires us to completely reframe how we look at canine aging. Because when you observe that physical shift, when the jumping stops and the hours spent sleeping start to increase, you have to start asking what is actually happening inside their body on a cellular and mechanical level.
Right, which, according to the documentary sources, this transition generally happens around 7 to 8 years old for boxers.
Roughly, yeah.
Though they do heavily caveat that this depends on, well, the lifelong prevented care the dog has received up to that point.
Yeah, because we are looking at a gradual change in their overall physiology. I mean, normal aging represents a decline in muscle mass, a reduction in joint flexibility, and just, you know, less physiological reserve for sustained high-intensity activity.
It's a cellular slowdown.
Exactly. It's a cellular slowdown.
But wait, if a dog is 8 years old and they're sleeping all day, isn't that just like the normal course of life? Aren't we over-medicalizing the simple act of getting old? I mean, if they naturally have less physiological reserve, it seems perfectly logical to just assume, well, they are winding down.
What's fascinating here is that saying they're just old is actually one of the most dangerous misconceptions a dog owner can hold.
Wait, really? It sounds so logical, though.
Right, but age itself is not a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Aging is a natural biological process, not a disease state. The sources really emphasize that dismissing a physical symptom by assuming it is just the inevitable passage of time, that can completely hide highly treatable conditions.
Oh, wow. So you're saying we might literally watch a dog suffer from a perfectly manageable issue
Yeah.
and just write it off as the reality of a ticking clock.
Yes, exactly. A dog moving slower might not be experiencing normal aging. It could be osteoarthritis. Or, if they aren't eating eagerly, it might be severe dental disease, not just a senior appetite.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And tiring quickly on walks, that can be the early stages of cardiac changes. All of these things present superficially as just getting older, but underneath, they are specific medical conditions that can be managed. And this is especially precarious with a breed like the boxer.
Because they're working dogs, right?
Precisely. They were originally bred for demanding tasks, so they are hardwired to be stoic. They will actively mask pain rather than display it.
So if a boxer is biologically programmed to hide their discomfort from you, how are you supposed to actually spot it?
Well, you basically have to become a student of your dog's baseline.
A student of their baseline. I like that.
Yeah, you look for really subtle deviations from their established normal. So a sudden reluctance to jump into the back of the SUV they used to leap into effortlessly. Or like stiffness that is noticeably worse right after they wake up from a nap, but then it eases up after they move around and warm up the joints.
Right.
You also watch for behavioral withdrawal, like a dog that used to absolutely love being in the center of a chaotic living room, suddenly seeking out an isolated corner in the bedroom.
Oh, that behavioral shift is a total light bulb moment. Because people might assume their dog is just getting grumpy in their old age, but they are actually trying to avoid the physical pain of being bumped into by kids or other pets.
Exactly. They are avoiding the micro stress of navigating a busy environment when their stabilizing muscles simply aren't firing the way they used to.
Right.
Recognizing pain is really about recognizing a sustained shift in how they interact with their world.
Which is such a critical distinction. And, if their stabilizing muscles are weakening, the instinct for a lot of owners is to just bubble wrap the dog. You see them slowing down, so you stop taking them on walks to protect them.
Oh, yeah.
But the sources actually highlight this as a massive mistake.
A huge mistake. Eliminating exercise actively accelerates the aging process.
Wait, it speeds it up.
Yes. It speeds up muscle loss, it worsens joint stiffness because mobility decreases, and it invariably causes weight gain. And those three factors compound each other dramatically.
Right, because you're adding more weight onto stiffer joints.
Exactly. While simultaneously losing the muscle required to support those joints, it creates a really rapid downward spiral in their overall quality of life.
It makes me think of putting a vintage car in a garage. Like, you think you're preserving it by keeping it out of the elements,
Yeah.
but joint synovial fluid is literally like engine oil, right?
That is a perfect biomechanical comparison, actually.
Right, because it only coats the gears and lubricates the system when the engine is actively running and moving. If it just sits there, the seals dry out and it falls apart faster.
Yes, motion provides the lubrication. The synovial fluid in a dog's joints relies on movement to circulate and nourish the cartilage. You have to keep driving the vintage car.
Just maybe not as fast.
Right. The activity must simply be adapted. So instead of taking them to the drag strip, you transition to shorter, more frequent sessions. Like 2 or 3 short, gentle walks spread throughout the day are vastly superior to one grueling weekend hike.
That makes a lot of sense.
And swimming is another phenomenal option because it maintains cardiovascular fitness and builds muscle tone with zero impact on the degrading joints.
So we are adapting the physical activity, but we also have to adapt the fuel, because the dietary notes in the documentary are honestly somewhat counterintuitive.
They are, yeah.
It notes that an older dog's overall caloric needs drop because their metabolism slows and they aren't burning as much energy. But their protein needs actually remain high.
Right. And it comes down to combating a condition called sarcopenia.
Okay, what exactly is sarcopenia?
Sarcopenia is the specific age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass and function. So it differs from muscle wasting caused by a specific disease. It is simply the natural aging process making the dog's body less efficient at synthesizing the protein they eat into functional muscle tissue.
Got it. But why does holding onto that muscle mass matter so much, aside from just keeping them looking robust?
Because muscle acts as a vital biological shock absorber,
Ah,
it provides the necessary stability for the joints. If the muscle wastes away due to an artificial drop in dietary protein, the bones, ligaments, and tendons take the full brunt of every single step.
ouch.
Yeah, that repetitive impact accelerates the development of arthritis. Muscle is also a massive driver of metabolic health, so a dog with well-maintained muscle condition will retain their physical independence significantly longer than one that loses that structural support.
Okay, so you reduce the overall calories to prevent weight gain, but you keep the protein intake high quality and bioavailable to basically feed that protective armor of muscle.
Precisely.
But keeping the physical machine moving and fed is really only half the battle, though. Because boxers are incredibly social, hyper-alert dogs, we have to look at how aging affects their internal and sensory world. And the sources note they absolutely experience cognitive decline, much like humans do.
Right. It often manifests as canine cognitive dysfunction. You might see confusion or disrupted sleep-wake cycles where they pace the house at 2 in the morning.
Which is exhausting for everyone.
Oh, entirely. You might even see house training regression. And alongside the cognitive changes, their physical senses are just fading. Hearing loss is super common, as is lenticular sclerosis.
That's the hazy eye thing, right?
Yeah, it creates that hazy, cloudy appearance in their eyes and changes how they perceive depth and light.
So as the owner, you really have to adapt your communication to bridge that sensory gap,
Yeah.
like transitioning to hand signals when verbal commands no longer register.
Exactly. Or approaching them from a visible angle so you don't accidentally startle them.
Right. And keeping the layout of your furniture predictable so they can navigate via memory rather than purely by sight. But here's where it gets really interesting, though. The documentary thoroughly debunks the idea that you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh, completely.
Their cognitive capacity persists well into their senior years.
The need for mental stimulation does not disappear at all. It simply requires a shift in format. High-intensity agility training might be off the table, sure, but you can introduce puzzle feeders or teach them new, low-impact behavioral cues. Scent games are highly recommended by the sources for senior dogs.
Let's look at the biology of that. Why focus on scent games specifically for an aging dog?
Well, a dog's olfactory bulb is directly and extensively wired to the memory and emotion centers of their brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you hide treats around a room and encourage them to use their nose, you are lighting up massive, complex neural pathways. It basically acts as a neuroprotective workout.
That's incredible.
It builds cognitive reserve, actively staving off neurological decline while providing them with a massive sense of accomplishment that doesn't require any physical strain.
It's like a retired athlete switching from playing a heavy contact sport to doing a highly complex daily crossword puzzle. You are deeply engaging the brain without the physical wear and tear.
That is a great way to put it.
Speaking of complex internal systems, we have to address the heart, because the sources issue a very critical breed-specific warning regarding two conditions, ARVC and DCM.
Yes. Boxers have a known genetic predisposition to arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy, which is ARVC, and dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM.
Those are some heavy terms.
They are. The senior years demand hypervigilance because these are conditions that progress silently over time before becoming critical.
Let's break the mechanics of those down a bit.
Yeah.
How do they actually affect the dog?
Okay, so ARVC is essentially an electrical misfire within the heart. The normal heart muscle in the right ventricle gets replaced by fatty or fibrous tissue, and this disrupts the electrical signals that tell the heart to beat in a synchronized rhythm, causing arrhythmias.
Okay, so ARVC is an electrical issue.
Right. DCM, conversely, is a structural failure. The heart muscle itself becomes stretched, thin, and weak. It pumps poorly, much like an old, overstretched rubber band that has just lost its elasticity.
Right, and if the pump is weak, fluid is going to back up in the system.
Which leads to congestive heart failure.
Mm.
Blood backs up, pushing fluid into the lungs. This is exactly why vigilance at home is paramount.
Because you see them every day.
Exactly. You are watching for reduced stamina that drops noticeably below their recent baseline. You are watching for episodes of sudden weakness or brief fainting spells, which can be the electrical misfires of ARVC causing their blood pressure to drop.
Oh, I see.
And crucially, you are listening for a persistent cough. That cough often isn't just a throat tickle. It is the physical manifestation of fluid building up in their lungs because the weakened heart cannot pump it out effectively.
Wow. And because these cardiac and cognitive symptoms can so easily mimic general lethargy or just getting older,
Yeah.
veterinary monitoring obviously becomes essential.
Absolutely essential.
But since the home environment is the one thing we fully control on a daily basis, how do we physically reshape their world to support this new, slower baseline? Because the practical interventions in the documentary are impressively low barrier.
They really are. Simple environmental tweaks make an astronomical difference in a senior dog's daily comfort. Adding rugs or non-slip mats to hard floors is paramount.
We talked about sarcopenia weakening those stabilizing muscles earlier. Walking on a slippery hardwood floor for a senior boxer with reduced muscle mass must feel like trying to walk on an ice rink in socks.
That is exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
The biomechanical toll of a slippery floor is immense. Every time the dog slips, even a fraction of an inch, it forces them to quickly tense up to catch their balance.
Right.
This causes micro tears in the ligaments and spikes the stress on their joints. Over a 6-month period, those daily micro-injuries compound into severe chronic pain. Giving them traction instantly stops that cycle of injury and vastly improves their confidence in moving around the house.
The sources also stress the importance of using ramps for getting into cars or onto furniture, and swapping out old sleeping pads for highly supportive orthopedic dog beds.
Yes.
I love this because it completely destroys the myth of powerlessness. People often feel helpless thinking, oh, there's nothing I can do for my old dog. But by simply buying a hallway runner rug and a ramp, you massively reduce their daily joint stress without a single prescription pad.
Exactly. You are actively altering their external environment to accommodate their changing internal physiology. And because you have created a padded, accessible environment, the role of your veterinarian actually shifts.
Oh, so?
Well, you aren't constantly visiting them to treat acute injuries from slips and falls anymore. You are collaborating with them to manage a stable baseline.
So how does that routine veterinary relationship change during the senior years?
Yeah.
The standard recommendation in the source material shifts from annual checkups to twice-yearly visits.
Because 6 months represents a significant percentage of a senior dog's lifespan. During those visits, the vet is running comprehensive baseline blood work to track organ function, specifically how efficiently the liver and kidneys are clearing toxins.
Right.
They are performing specific orthopedic mobility checks and continuous cardiac monitoring. But the most vital tool the sources introduce is the holistic quality of life assessment.
Meaning looking at the whole picture rather than just zeroing in on one bad hip or a mild heart murmur.
Yes, it is a comprehensive collaborative diagnostic process between you and your vet. You are looking at the interplay of multiple factors.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. Does the pain in their hip prevent them from standing up to eat, which then causes weight loss, which in turn worsens the muscle wasting? Can they still enjoy their favorite gentle activities? Are they resting comfortably without pacing? You're assessing their overall engagement with the family to ensure the interventions are actually serving the dog's well-being.
It's like adjusting the overall suspension on a car to ensure the whole system rides smoothly, rather than just swapping out a single flat tire and ignoring the alignment.
That's exactly it. It prevents you from missing the forest for the trees when making care decisions.
So what does this all mean? We've traced the biomechanics of sarcopenia, the electrical pathways of the aging heart, the cognitive neural workouts of scent games, and the compounding microtraumas of hardwood floors.
We've covered a lot.
We really have.
Yep.
And synthesizing the emotional arc of these documentary notes brings us to a profound realization. A senior boxer's form evolves. They might be watching you cook from an orthopedic memory foam bed instead of weaving rapidly around your ankles.
Mm.
But their fundamentally social nature, their intrinsic desire to be near you, remains completely intact.
It does. Navigating this final stage requires a distinct mindset shift. It is entirely about focusing on what is still possible rather than mourning what has been lost.
That's a beautiful.
The bond you share with this dog doesn't diminish just because their physiological reserve has lowered. It deepens. It demands more keen observation, a lot of patience, and thoughtful adaptation, but the connection is stronger than ever.
It is a journey of giving back to an animal that has given you a lifetime of loyalty. Which actually leaves me with a final thought, something I want you to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Oh, let's hear it.
We spend an incredible amount of time, money, and energy adapting our schedules and our physical homes to give grace, accessibility, and comfort to our aging canine companions. We map out the non-slip rugs, we build the custom ramps, we study their habits, and we learn to celebrate the slow, quiet moments. What would happen if we applied that exact same lens of holistic, compassionate, and structurally adapted care to how we treat aging humans in our own society? The bouncing puppy eventually becomes the calm dog, waiting on all four paws. It's a beautiful transition if you just know how to look at it. Catch you on the next deep dive.